guys, what is going on, and welcome back to What Shall We Do Next. I'm Mike, your host, and hope you guys are having the best day ever. Before I get started, guys, if you are new here, please subscribe if you haven't already done that. We're on the road to 114,000 subscribers, and I would love you to join me on this journey. So hit subscribe and join the fam. And also, guys, go follow me on all my social media. Links are in the description. I have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even Snapchat, so go follow me on all of those. And as you guys know, I have a Facebook account, so you can add me on Facebook, and we can be Facebook friends, so go do that. Link is in the description. And finally, be sure to turn on the notification bell right next to the subscribe button. That way you get notified every time I upload a video. Thank you. But once again, I am coming back at you guys with another scary video, and today we are talking about another black-eyed kids encounter. So as you guys know, I'm doing a series on the black-eyed children and just reading a whole bunch of encounters that people have had. And here's another one which took place on Halloween night. And this scary story is called Halloween. But enough of the jibber jabber, let's get right over to the story. Halloween. This is so funny. I'd never even heard of black-eyed kids before my incident. So I come on here to post my story. And the first story I see is about a black-eyed kid. Weird. Let me start this by saying I'm by no means a writer, just a domestic engineer, living in North Texas. Also, I don't believe in the paranormal, ghosts, demons, aliens, whatever. However, I did have an event happen to me this Halloween. I have to admit, this has me scratching my head. This is my first post on Reddit. And sorry to say, I've never even heard about it until yesterday. I told my best friend about my incident, and she's an avid reader of No Sleep, and she told me if I didn't post it, then she would. So, here I am. Anyway, I hope you like it. So, it had been a slow trick or treat night in our neighborhood that evening, which is pretty odd in itself. We usually have kids from different areas dropped off in ours, and have a constant parade at our door. That night, I'd say we had no more than 8 or 10 groups of kids come by the entire night. It was about 9:30 p.m., and my husband and I were sitting in our family room watching some of those ghost shows based on supposedly actual events. Like I said, I don't believe in that stuff, but I do enjoy a good ghost story now and then, and it was Halloween and all. We hadn't had any activity at the door in over a half an hour, and it was getting late, so we decided to turn the porch light off and let our dog Chloe out of her crate. Chloe is an American bulldog, and she's very docile. We only put her in her crate because we were afraid that she'd try and get out to play with the kids, and I didn't want to have to chase her down the street. Also, we didn't want her to scare any of the kids because she would look a little intimidating to the younger kids. So I turned the outside light off, let Chloe out, and she followed me back to the couch and lay down by my feet. It was getting close to 10 p.m. when my husband decided he had had enough for the night and was going upstairs to take a shower and get ready for bed. After all, it was Thursday and he still had to get up early the next day. My teenage son was out with his friends at a local haunted house and wasn't expected back for another hour or so. So that left me alone on the couch with Chloe. Now, just because I don't believe doesn't mean those shows don't freak me out a bit. And being alone now watching, I'd have to say I was kind of on edge, as it were. It wasn't long after that I heard the upstairs water for the shower turn on, when there came a light knock, knock, knock at the front door. My initial reaction was, what the hell? Really? It's almost 10, go home. But soon an uneasy feeling came over me. Why the knock? Our doorbell glows in the dark, and without the porch light on it would be extra obvious to anyone out there. I paused. I couldn't really just ignore it. Our front door has a big bevel glass panel, and anybody right at the door can see in to see if anyone was in the family room watching TV. It would be pretty rude for me to not answer the door. Knock, knock, knock. Again from the door. I glanced down at Chloe and she was gone. My gaze followed her usual path to the front door, expecting her to be on the way there, as she normally does. Nothing. She wasn't there. I stood up to look around the room, and I found her, crouching by the back door, like she was wanting to go out. However, she never asks to go out like that. She always comes and licks my hand or puts her head on my knee. This was totally out of character for her. And I have to say, that heightened my anxiety. "Chloe, crate," I said. She just turned back to look at me like, "Hell no, lady. I ain't moving." I yelled up to my husband, but if he was already in the shower, I knew there was no chance of him hearing me. Knock, knock, knock. About that time, a car drove down our street and cast just enough light on the door to where I could see the silhouettes of two small children through the glass. I instantly felt relief. It was just some kids, probably a couple of my neighbors on their way back home, that wanted to stop by and show me their costumes or something. I headed to the door and looked back to make sure Chloe wasn't going to follow me. What a great watchdog, I thought to myself as she just sat there. I turned on the porch light when I got to the door, and sure enough, I could see through the glass, and it was a couple of pretty small kids. A little late for such young ones, I thought, and I began to wonder what kind of parents would let their kids run the streets this late at night. I only opened the door enough to where I could block Chloe's escape if she decided to grow some balls, which was only about 2 feet. What struck me immediately as odd was that the kids weren't wearing any costumes. They were in normal street clothes. Also, no customary trick or treat either. And I began to feel very uneasy again. It was a girl and a boy. The girl to my left was older. I'd say about 11 or 12. I could tell she was blonde, but I couldn't make out any distinct features, as our lights are high above on the columns at the front of the porch, so most of the light was coming from behind them. I had not opened the door wide enough for any light from inside to hit them directly. The boy was younger and about a foot shorter. I'd say 8 or 9, and looked to have light brown hair. The girl very politely spoke up. "Ma'am, can we please come inside and use your phone to call our mom?" As she spoke, something in the pit of my stomach was telling me something was wrong. What kid, even at that age, doesn't have a cell phone these days? I couldn't remember the last time anybody had asked to use my home phone. Hun? Don't you have a phone of your own to call your mom on?" I asked. This was when things got really weird. Both kids turned to look at one another, like they were going to say something to one another, but neither spoke. They both turned back to me, and the girl said, "Ma'am, my cell phone battery doesn't have any charge left in it. Can we please come inside and call our mother? We're alone out here and my brother is scared." I have to admit, there were two competing feelings going on inside me. The first, that of a mother's heart that wanted to help these two small children get to their mom. But the other, a sinking fear in my gut that was keeping the other feeling at bay. It was then I noticed that, during the short conversation, I'd already opened the door a few extra inches, which I was completely unaware of doing. I stopped. "Honey, why don't you give me your mother's number and I'll call her for you?" Another pause, and then they looked at one another. After that, they turned back to me, and the girl said, "Ma'am, my little brother has to use your bathroom. Can we please come inside while you call our mom?" And with that last statement, the little girl moved closer towards the door, like she was going to just walk on in by me. And as she did that, she stepped into the light coming from inside the house, and I got my first real look at her. Solid, jet black eyes, and that's all I could see. That motherly instinct was gone and replaced by terror. I don't think I've ever felt like that in my life. I could feel every hair on my arms and back of my neck standing at attention. I closed the door to where just my face was able to stick out. And the little girl stopped again and pleaded, "Please, ma'am, we're really scared and alone out here. We have to come inside. Please help us." Then, like on cue, both kids began to whimper and cry. That's when the fear took over and I shut and locked the door. "I'll call your mom if you give me the number," I shouted through the door, "but I'm not letting you in my house." I could still see them standing there on the porch, just staring at me through the beveled glass pane. Part of me wanted to run upstairs to my husband, but the bigger part didn't want to lose track of where they were. That would have freaked me out even more, not knowing where they were. After what seemed like forever, but probably only a few seconds, I decided to call my neighbor that lives across the street. As I made my way to the side table by our couch to my phone, I glanced at the back door. Chloe was nowhere to be found. We later found her in the guest room under the bed. When I got to the phone and started to look for his contact info, it was only then the kids stepped away from the door and began to walk the street. As they did, I walked to the door to get a better look to see where they went, still not calling my neighbor. If you get close enough to the glass, you can see out enough to make out people's shapes, but you can't see much detail. Of course, standing that close to the door would make you pretty obvious to anyone outside looking in. From the door, I could see that the kids were still standing under the street lamp nearest my house, staring at me. As I lifted the phone to my ear after calling, only then did the kids start to walk down the street. I met my neighbor out under the lamp once he was out there, but the kids were nowhere to be seen. Like I said, I don't believe in this kind of stuff, and had never even heard of a black-eyed kid before talking to my friend. What I really think, what I have to think, is that these kids were just yanking people's chains on Halloween night. But I will say this for them: they were good, really good. They scared the shit out of my dog and me. And that is the end of that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Another pretty creepy one. Pretty basic, but pretty creepy. But my question to all of you guys for question of the day is, what do you think these were? Do you think they were just some kids pulling a prank on Halloween night? Or do you genuinely believe that this woman had an experience with black-eyed children coming to her house on Halloween night? What do you guys think? That is question of the day. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button down below, and let's see if we can go for 1 billion likes on this video. I would really appreciate that. And remember, the most important thing of all, guys, chase your dreams. I love you all. Don't let anybody bring you down. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow for another video. Peace out.